Welcome everybody to the fifth class in this expanded Yoga Sutra study. We are studying chapter 1, the Samādhi Pādaḥ. As I told you in the last class, this chapter, the way it's done is it presents like a condensed overview for advanced students. And this is one way in which these texts are written. The first chapter is for people who don't need to really know the nitty-gritty details because they're advanced students. So the first chapter is styled in that fashion. That is why you'll see a lot of things, and especially the very high states of samadhi. You will wonder why usually the highest levels of samadhi or the states of the mind should be in the last chapter, but why is it in the first chapter? It is for this reason. Okay, and we are right now at, so we've studied, just to recap for everyone's sake, we've studied the mind and its fluctuations, what are called the vrittis. And then we saw that yoga, the purpose of yoga is to still the mind so you get better clarity. And it introduces the concept of Purusha, which is actually you or us, everybody. There's a Purusha inside us. And that is the one which is witnessing the mind. Okay, so the Purusha is not the body. The Purusha is also not the mind. Because why is it? Can anybody say why you are not the mind? Anybody wants to take a because we've discussed this many times, so just see if we can recap why you are not the mind. Anu, Amy is driving, so I'm not going to ask her. And Mimi, Lataji, you heard this many times. Anybody wants to say why you are not the mind?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess if you can just add a little, are you meaning you as in like ahamkara?
Yeah. So
It's not the mind.
remember, one part of the mind is the ahankara,
Yeah.
mano, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. So that is not the real you.
Right.
So you refers to the witness principle called the Purusha. Why you are not the mind is that you can observe the mind. So if you are the observer, you are not that subject and the object, right? Anything that you can see is the object. So that is not the subject. So there's subject-object difference. So this is how they say very distinctly, and this becomes much more clearer. Right now, in the waking state, it's all hazy. Everything is like juxtaposed, mixed. But when there is the clarity in meditation, you clearly see the starts as in slow motion. Like in this Matrix movie, everything is moving so slowly, and which was actually based on Buddhist meditation, that movie. You see things clearly, and then you realize, okay, I'm just witnessing the mind. I'm seeing things come and go. So you are not the mind. And with that, it says, okay, now that you are not the mind, how do I make, shine, polish this mind so that it is useful? It's like an instrument. You are interacting with the world through the mind and also the body. So how do I take care of this mind and also the body so that I realize my own nature and I don't suffer? That is the entire point of yoga. Okay, then we introduced, we saw yoga it's all about practice and dispassion, which is very important. And then it introduced a very powerful concept to still the mind. This is Ishvara, or it is something bigger. A special Purusha is how Patanjali introduces the concept of Ishvara. Now we are going to study the various obstacles, and Patanjali also is going to give various anchors to concentrate the mind. Okay, so antarāyas, the 9 obstacles to getting the mind concentrated. He's going to tell 9 obstacles, which we are all very familiar with because we encounter it day to day. So if you go sit in meditation, your body is screaming, you're getting bored, you're falling sleepy, all these are happening. We're very familiar with this. So Patanjali is going to detail all this. Vyādhi Styāna Saṃśaya Pramādalasya Virati Bhranti Darshanalabda Bhumikatva Anavastitatvani Chitta Vikshepa Te antarāyas. So, long sutra. Vyādhi is disease. Styāna is dullness of the mind, not of the body. Styāna is the dullness of the mind. Saṃśaya is doubt. Pramāda means negligence. So very often in Indian languages, the word pramāda is meant to used in the context of nonchalant. He's like very casually accomplishing great things. But actually, the word pramada has a negative connotation of negligence. Even though it looks like, he very easily, in a flick of a hand, this person did this, she did that. No, it's actually negligence, pramada. Alasya means sloth of the body. Remember, Styāna is dullness of the mind. Alasya is sloth of the body. Avirati is the rati means it's just indulgence, craving. So avirati is over indulgence in sensual things. Avirati. Then bhranti darshana means erroneous. Darshana, it means sight, right, or perception. Erroneous perception or it's imagination. Erroneous imagination. Alabdha bhumikatva, which means inability to reach the milestone. And then anavastitatvani, which means slipping away from the ground gained from practice. So you attain a certain level of you're able to sit comfortably for half hour, you're able to get concentrated, and then what happens? You slip in your practice, you start overeating and something, and it becomes difficult for you to stay half an hour. You feel sleepy, your mind wanders. So all this is slipping away from the ground that is gained from practice. These distractions of the mind are obstacles to samadhi. So 9 of them. We will see one by one. Okay. Vyādhi is the first one, disease of the body. Okay. When asked, Patabhi Joyce, this is his grandson, Sharad Joyce. Those who are familiar with Ashtanga yoga system, they know he's a student of Krishnamacharya. And Patabhi Joyce was a Sanskrit scholar. So he would often quote this. If you can't hear me, let me know. I'll play this thing in his own voice.
You can understand. Nayam atma balahinena labhyaha. Balahina means weak body, you don't get it impossible.
Can you hear this? Everybody? Or no?
Yes.
You can hear? Okay, let me continue playing.
You take practice, yoga practice, some asanas you do, that's disease is going only for 6 months. Yeah.
So this is the reason why people practice asanas. It is not to get a sculpted body or a toned body, all that. It is mainly to make the body disease free, so you can understand the higher nature of your own self. This is from the Mundaka Upanishad. The Atma is not attained by a weak body. Okay. Next is Styāna. Styāna is, as I said, it's mental dullness. Okay. Another thing I have to say. Um, um, so one of the points about disease, which Swami Hariharananda Aranya emphasizes, is the psychological impact of physical disease. The body serves as the anchor for the mind, right? So if the anchor is unstable due to disease, the boat, the mind, which is like a boat, rocks violently. So meditation requires the withdrawal of senses, and disease does exactly the opposite. It violently projects the consciousness into senses through pain or through other distractions. So this is why the two things are going opposite. So in meditation, your whole aim is to bring things inside, and you don't want it to be projected outside. So the yogi must take care of the body. Diet is extremely important. So if you want to settle the mind, the diet has to be purified. This is specifically to prevent disease, not for vanity, but to ensure the instruments are fit. That's Swami Hariharananda's explanation. Okay, Styāna is incompetence of the mind, mental dullness, lack of enthusiasm for the task at hand. So traditionally in the yoga system, the Styāna, or the mental dullness, is attributed to increase in tamoguna. So there is 3 gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattvam is lightness, clarity of the mind, purity, all that is sattva. Rajas is passion, like aggression, craving for things. It spurs activity. Then tamoguna is dullness. You're just insensitive, just not feeling things around. And it's indolence, sleep, all these things is tamoguna. So this is attributed to tamas. The solution given in yoga when the tamoguna increases is pranayama. Okay. Saṃśaya, that is the next one. So Saṃśaya is doubt. Saṃśaya means doubt. So the way Vyasa defines this as Ubhaya Koti Sprig Vijnanam, which means a cognition. Vijnanam is cognition. Sparsha means touch. Ubhaya Koti means end. Ubhaya Koti means both ends. So it doubt touches 2 extreme ends. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I indulge? Should I maintain discipline? So this is doubt. That's how technical term, he defines it technically. What does it cause? It causes paralysis of action. Because of this, you're not able to do either of them. It drains your enthusiasm. How do we get rid of doubt? So Vyasa, actually Patanjali is later going to give an example. So how do you make sure you get rid of doubt? It is through direct experience. So he will give these techniques in meditation, and when you see these things that are happening, you realize, now I'm getting a view, perception into the subtle realm, and the doubt starts to go down. Really, when you're seeing the benefits and some of these, because meditation acts in the subtle realm. So we have the physical realm, sthula shariram, then we have the sukshma shariram. When you see all these things in the subtle realm, then your doubt begins to slowly fade away. So doubt is essentially 2 extremes: discipline and pleasure and ease. So this is like a tug of war that's happening, which drains enthusiasm. Okay. And in the Bhagavad Gītā, the most famous example of doubt happens in the Bhagavad Gītā. In the Bhagavad Gītā, Bhagavan, because Arjuna is very impatient, he keeps asking Bhagavan, when will I get this knowledge? First, his doubt was, should I fight or should I not fight? Then Bhagavan talks, telling him about yoga, all these, and he does not really, because he doesn't have any direct experience. So he somewhat convinced there is something about what Bhagavan is saying, but I really don't. I have a doubt still. So, Bhagavan, in fact, in the 40th shloka, we'll see that he says, "Shraddhavan labate jnanam takparasanyatendriyaha jnanam labdva param shantim achirena gacchati." One who has faith in the Shastras, who is devoted and has the senses under control, gains this knowledge. Having gained this knowledge, what happens? What's the benefit? Why the purpose of this knowledge? One attains supreme peace. Okay? Shanti. So that is the fifth benefit of the Bhagavan talks about many benefits, and he talks about Shanti. Bhagavan is Bhagavan Krishna.
Use the right lane to keep right. Merge onto CA1 North before Bay.
So Lataji, you have to mute the mic. I muted it. Who attains the knowledge of the self? One who has practiced yoga for a long time, one who has faith, no doubt, one who has the senses under control. All this we've seen. Bhagavan is telling this. And he also says, Ajñascha shraddadhanascha samshayatma vinashyati nayam lokosti na paraha Nasukam samshayatmanaha. One who is ignorant and has no faith and has a doubting mind perishes. For the one who has a doubting mind, there is neither this world nor any other, nor can there be happiness. So doubt drains everything. So that is why Patanjali has a special emphasis for doubt. Okay. All right. Then so I showed this picture. All the 9 obstacles, all this, they're like weeds. They're the manifestations of internal imprints, what we call samskara, right? So the samskaras are different types of imprints. The kleshas are the afflictions or the roots. They are the ones which manifest as this 9 obstacles. So the kleshas, Patanjali is going to describe in detail in the next chapter. So there are avidya, ignorance, asmita, ego, that is a sense of wrong association with the body. Ego doesn't mean I'm haughty, but it's a wrong association with the body. Even a very feeble person, because they are wrongly attached to the body, they think they are the body, they suffer. Attachment, raga, aversion, dvesha, abhinivesha, clinging to life. So the doubt, samshaya, it comes from the avidya, that is the ignorance. So the doubt comes because you are ignorant of the nature. And you know what Bhagavan does? Arjuna keeps having these doubts, right? Can anybody guess what Bhagavan does to Arjuna to clarify, to remove his doubt? Anybody wants to take a guess?
Does he give his Vishwarupam
Yes,
so that he can...
exactly. Yes, very good. So Bhagavan shows his Vishwarupam shows his cosmic form. And Arjuna, he has ordinary eyes, so he couldn't see. His mind is not ready. And therefore he gives him the Divya Chakshahu, divine eyesight. So that is how Bhagavan temporarily he removes the doubt.
Can you say that word again? Something form?
Vishwarupa. Vishwa means universe or
Vishwarupa.
cosmos. Vishwarupa Darshana. In fact, the 11th chapter is called Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, the cosmic form. Bhagavan, that's a very famous one in which he shows the entire cosmos in his body. Okay. All right. Now we'll come to, I'm going to just take 1 second and switch off the heater. 1 second. I'll come in just a second. Okay, all right. So next one is pramada. Pramada means negligence. Pramada arises when the aspirant loses sight of the value of the goal. So, for example, one example that Vyasa gives is, you shouldn't eat tamasic food before meditation. Tamasic food is food. So we saw sattva, rajas, and tamas. This is explained in great detail in the Bhagavad Gītā, where Bhagavan talks about foods that create sattvic mind, foods which create rajasic mind, and foods which create tamasic mind. So tamasic foods are foods that can dull your mind. So what are these foods that can dull your mind? Very heavy foods. Meat is considered a tamasic food for this reason, even though it has nutritional benefits. What the most famous words in one of the most famous in the scriptures about the choice between being vegetarian or not a vegetarian is given in the Mahabharata. And let's see. And there is a question. So there are two differences. You have to nourish your body, and there is also the question of ethics, and also the question of what's good for the mind. Okay, so in this, so for those interested, Bhishma, he gives the most compelling reason for why one should be vegetarian, because of the tamasic nature of meat. So he tells Yudhishthira that Yudhishthira, the king, of course, he says, okay, we are the fighters, so we need meat for the strength. Then Bhishma says, I gave up eating meat a long time. So he asks, isn't meat required for a warrior's valor? Then Bhishma says he had given up eating meat a long time ago, and he was the greatest warrior on the earth. He was very, very old, but was the greatest warrior. And he gives the explanation for why tamasic food, what way it affects the mind. So pramada, the negligence, I just kind of took a side step, but the example which Vyasa gives is eating tamasic food before meditation, because that can dull your mind down. This, it's bad, but you still do it. This is called negligence. And the other thing is the mind, there's something which is pulling. You're not so convinced that, and the Vyasa says, why does this happen? Even though in yoga, the stakes are very high, because it can give you deep peace of mind. But because of the consequence, all these things seem very distant, we fall into pramada. It is not immediate gratification. It is something that comes over time, and also in lifetimes, because next lifetime, if you cleanse your mind, your next lifetime, the karma gets getting lesser and lesser. So over the course of lifetimes, things would improve, and you can one day get liberation. But this is so far-fetched that people are not able to put in the effort. That's where the negligence comes. Now, I will tell you a story. This is a very famous story in the Puranas. It comes in the Mahabharata. This is the story of King Nahusha. Okay, and in this story, it's fully about negligence. A single moment of spiritual arrogance or negligence caused Nahusha to fall. So this is what happens. Nahusha was a king in the lunar dynasty. So there were two dynasties. The solar dynasty, where Rama was born. Raghu Vamsa Sudha is Rama is called jewel of the solar dynasty. Raghu's son, the solar dynasty's jewel is Rama. Then Krishna and the Pandavas, they all come in the lunar dynasty, Chandra Vamsha. So in that dynasty, long before the Pandavas, there was a king called Nahusha. He was a very pious king. He ruled justly. He was a paragon of virtue, charity, and sacrifice. He performed hundreds of yajnas. So those days they do yajnas, which is Vedic rituals, because they believe that when you chant all this in a proper way, it blesses the environment, the land, all that. Okay, so he did a lot of that. He got a lot of merit because of that. And one day what happened was Indra fought a demon called Vritra. The demon was actually born as a Brahmana. He was born in a virtuous community, but because of the mind, his path took him towards a demonic path. That is why demons, I have told you before, are not ones with canine teeth, tusks, horns, all that. No, demons are just the mental makeup. So that's why Bhagavan in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gītā talks about Daiva Asura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga, the distinction between divine and demonic traits. So this Vritra was one such person, but because Indra killed him, Indra had to repent. Because he was Vritra was very evil. Indra was the king of the gods. Indra kills Vritra, but because of that, he had to take some time off, do meditation, repent for his act, because Vritra, after all, was born with a lot of virtue, but his path went into the wrong direction. So the throne of the heavens were empty. So they wanted to keep somebody for a temporary short time till Indra comes back. The gods, they just scanned the entire universe, and the person who stood out because of his virtue is Nahusha. So they came and asked Nahusha, can you temporarily be the custodian of the throne of the king of gods? So Nahusha, he agreed. So he ruled heaven as wisely as he had ruled the earth. But the environment in heaven is different. Heaven is just, there are different lokas, there are different words in the Hindu mythology. There are this Bhumi, the earth, and then there are 6 higher lokas and 7 lower lokas. So heaven is one of these places. It is a temporary place. You come and you do merit, you go there, have merit, you go there, then after you exhaust the merit, you come back. And in heaven, there is no hunger, no thirst, no aging, and your desires are all fulfilled immediately. They're surrounded by, or Nahusha was surrounded by celestial nymphs, apsaras, gandharvas, who sing beautiful songs, unlimited power at his fingertips. What do you think happened to him? Anybody wants to guess? What happened to Nahusha? Anybody?
I think he succumbed to all these things that are happening around him, and he's lost his wisdom. And
Yes, he became arrogant. He succumbed. Correct. And because of that, and he became arrogant. But this is the worst thing he did. His gaze fell on Shachi. Shachi is Indra's wife. So one of the worst sins is to desire somebody else's spouse. And because of his arrogance, he thought he can have anything. So Shachi was Indra's wife. Usually in various mythologies, not just in Indian mythology, there will be these great powerful kings or gods, but the gods or the king's wife usually is passive, in the sense that they are not put in the limelight. Their wisdom or brilliance is not exhibited. But Shachi is an exception. Shachi was one of the she observed dharma, righteousness, Indra is exactly the opposite. Indra is a king of the gods, but every despicable thing that you can think of, he is done. He would covet other people's wives. He wants power. He will anytime somebody is doing all these tapas to gain power, he will come and disturb their tapas by sending all these celestial nymphs to distract these sages. So Indra is such a person. His wife Shachi is a paragon of virtue and absolutely brilliant to the core. So and she was also, of course, the heavens, they're all beautiful. She was extremely beautiful, and his gaze fell on Shachi. So he sent a message demanding that she accept him as her husband. So Shachi went to the guru of the gods, who's Brihaspati, for advice. Then they devised a plan to stall him. Shachi sent a message back to Nahusha and said, "Oh, king of gods, I will definitely accept you, but only if you come to fetch me in a palanquin never before seen in the universe, and palanquin carried not by horses or elephants, but by the 7 great sages, Saptarishis." So these great sages were mind-born sons of Brahma, creator. They were absolutely great, and all the knowledge, they flowed through them. And so this was a trap, they set. Shachi and Brihaspati set the trap. Nahusha, because he was so filled with pride, he didn't see the trap. So he walked straight in. He goes to the sages and he asks 4 of those sages to carry him. One of the sages was Agastya. Agastya is short and he's also pot-bellied, stout. And the other sages are Vashishta and other people. Out of respect for the position of Indra, not for Nahusha, the sages silently agreed. And then the procession started. So they are going to Shachi's palace. And what happens? Agastya being shorter, and he is having some difficulty, right? So the palanquin is tilting, so he was kind of faltering. Nahusha, he was so filled with lust to meet Shachi, so he says, "Faster, faster." And the words for fast is the same as the word for snake, which means sarpa. Sarpam means snake. Sarpa also means fast, go or hasten. This is why you should never study these scriptures without a commentary of somebody who knows. Because if you look at the dictionary, you will end up with a wrong meaning. So Sanskrit is a live language, they call it. Things are contextual. So Agastya, what did Nahusha do? Look what he does here. He kicks Agastya. At this point, Agastya loses it. Okay, a great sage. And Agastya tells him, "Nahusha, you've been blinded by your pride. You have insulted the holy sages by asking them to carry your palanquin. You have violated the highest dharma by casting your gaze on another person's wife. And since you yelled sarpa, which means a snake, at me in your haste, you will become a sarpa, you will become a snake." And from that point, he fell from the heavens and into the dirt, and you will crawl in the dirt of the earth as a giant python for 10,000 years. So Nahusha, at that moment, what happened? His celestial body was gone, and he became a huge python, and he fell all the way down. Okay, so, and he spent 10,000 years, and finally what happens was his in the ancestral line, his successors, eventually Yudhishthira comes and absolves him of the curse. And how it happens was that one day Bhima goes to fetch some water while they are in the forest, and the python wraps around it. So the python symbolizes alasya, that is physical laziness, because it doesn't, when we are hungry, we go to the refrigerator or the pantry to get something to eat, or go to a restaurant, so we move. Python doesn't even move, it just stays there. When animal comes, it grabs. So it is symbolic of alasya, physical laziness. So he was in the forest for 10,000 years. Then when Bhima comes to fetch water, the python wraps around him. Bhima is the strongest person. He could not break free. And then Yudhishthira, noting that Bhima, his brother, has not come, he goes to see what's happened. At that time, he sees Bhima struggling with the python. And then the python, on seeing Yudhishthira, asks him a question. I will release this person, but you have to tell me about some questions about righteousness, because the whole entire reason he was cursed is because he fell from the path of righteousness. So then Yudhishthira answers all this question, and Nahusha, at that point, he releases the serpent body and he gets liberation, or he goes to the higher realms. So this is the story of Nahusha. Okay. Then alasya, again, the python is symbolic of alasya. When Styāna is said as the laziness of the mind, alasya is the laziness of the body. And Vachaspati Mishra, he attributes alasya to an excess of kapha dosha. So if you go to an Ayurvedic physician, they essentially what they are doing is they are normalizing prana in your body. Prana is the life force. And when prana is very sluggish, it increases the kapha dosha. So kapha is earth. Your body is like very sluggish. Your limbs feel heavy. There is less udana, and excess sleep happens. So solution in yoga and Ayurveda is asanas increase vata and pitta and reduce excess kapha. Next is avirati, which is sensory craving or hankering. Means without, right? Virati means without despair. Vi here means without. Rati means passion. So virati means dispassion. Avirati means it is two negatives. It's opposite of vairagyam. So it is not detachment. Not attachment, which is not detachment. Not having detachment is avirati. It's essentially sensory craving or hankering. Vairagya is like Teflon. We live in a world which is full of sense attractions. Teflon, water doesn't stick to Teflon. Avirati is like super glue. Everything it just takes in. So, and the root causes raga. We saw all these different things. So here it is attachment, raga. That is the root cause. Okay. And this is the sixth obstacle in Patanjali's list. It is the inability of the mind to detach itself from the objects of the senses. Because remember, all our objective is to take the mind inward. And it's a sticky quality of the mind that constantly adheres to pleasure, comfort, and worldly experiences. If you're not able to see the internal peace, which is often greater than the external sensual pleasures, this problem happens. The classic example is the story of Saubari. Remember the sage who sits underwater and meditates, but because of the root of raga, he sees this family of fish, he wants to have a family, and everything goes haywire for him. Avirati. Next is Bhranti Darshana. Bhranta means like delusion, or it is wrong. Bhranti Darshana is essentially, so raga and dvesha. Raga is attachment, craving. Dvesha is repulsion. So the mind is constantly going between craving and avoiding things which are repulsive to it. Okay. Bhranti darshana is avidya in action during our practice. So we saw these all this we'll cover in the second chapter in detail. Like I said, the first chapter, Patanjali gives like an overview for advanced students. And these are the manifestations of these deep imprints. So here now comes Bhranti Darshana, which is delusion. Okay, that is from ignorance, basic ignorance inside us. Now, we saw one of the vrittis was also viparyaya. Remember the 5 vrittis, all our thoughts fall into the 5 categories: pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smritaya. Pramana is direct or correct perception, not direct, correct perception, correct knowledge. Pramana, viparya is false knowledge, which is called mithya jnanam, myth. Okay, viparyayo mithya jnanam atadrupa pratishtam. Vikalpa is shabda jnana anupati. It is just something which is fancy, like a flying rabbit, or time flies. Remember that word, time flies? Time doesn't have wings to fly, but it's something you which doesn't exist. You talk about it to illustrate something. Viparyaya, vikalpa, then nidra, sleep, and smriti, which is memory, recollection. Dreams also come in this. So here, Bhranti darshana and viparyaya is false knowledge. Do you know what the difference between the two is? Anybody wants to say? Sumitra, you want to say? Viparyaya, and what's the difference between viparyaya and Bhranti darshana?
Bhranti darshana can be just like hallucination, right? I don't know.
Yeah. So Bhranti darshana is hallucination. Yes or no? So here, Bhranti darshana is an obstacle. It is a manifest. Viparyaya is a mechanism, right? The 5 vrittis are the 5 mechanisms of the mind. This is how the mind works. Bhranti darshana here, it is an obstacle on the path. It's like something which comes and obstructs us. So viparyaya it's just wrong, but it may not have severe consequences. Here it has severe consequence. Bhranti
Is it,
darshana.
Ganesh, sorry, is it like false intention or like you're driven by a false?
Yeah, we'll see that.
Yeah.
That's a very good question. Okay.
Is it something that is not tangible? Probably viparyaya is a misunderstanding of something that you have seen. Is it something very subtle, something that is not tangible, that you're experiencing and you mistake it to be something something very high?
Very good.
But
Very
it's
good. Yeah.
not.
Very good point. Yeah, Sumitra, very, very good. So that's exactly what Vyasa is trying to say here. What he says is that sometimes in meditation, you start meditating, and in meditation, all kinds of things happen. You'll sense smells. You'll smell roses sometimes, or whatever favorite scent you have, and it'll look real. And sometimes you will taste foods, and sometimes you'll see divine lights. All and immediately, or you'll have a flash of intuitive insights. All these are common in meditation. Bhranti darshana is when one thinks, I see all these divine things, I'm enlightened, I'm done. So I have the divine light, I'm liberated, I don't have to do anymore. So this is Bhranti darshana, delusion. It is an obstacle. So this is the context in which it is used. Okay. So all these, if I just explain these 9 things, it may look like cliches, but When you start reflecting on this, you will understand some of the gravity of some of this, because we face this in everyday lives. It's just that we don't think about it. Next is alabdha bhumikatva, or stagnation, inability to attain the goal. Labdha means to attain or to gain. Alabdha means not gaining. Bhumika means the ground or the stage that you want. And twa means it's a state. So literally the translation is state of not having attained the ground you want to attain. Or you're stuck in a plateau. They say, I'm plateaued out. So you're stuck in a plateau. Now, remember the first Vyasa, he talks about the different types of minds. Shipta, Moda, Vikshipta, Ekagra, Niruddha. Remember, do you guys remember that? The Shipta is the wandering, restless mind. The Muda mind is dull and just infatuated with senses. Vikshipta is the most of us are in the Vikshipta mind. Sometimes it sits and meditates, it gets concentrated. Sometimes it's very distracted. Ekagra is one-pointed mind. It is just, it is the mind of advanced meditators, like this Buddhist monks who have 10,000 hours of meditation. Niruddha is like an enlightened person, completely restrained mind. Okay, so these are the 5 stages. Now, alabdha bhumikatva, which means not having attained the ground you want to attain, means, let's say you are in Vikshipta, let's just assume, and you want to go to the next level. So but you're not progressing. 10 years, 15 years, sometimes meditation is good, sometimes it's not good. You're not able to progress. That is called alabdha bhumikatva, stagnation, inability to attain the goal. Okay. But when a practitioner, especially when they labor hard, they don't see results, no deepening of peace, no steadiness of mind, no spiritual insight, a deep sense of despair sets in. The yogi thinks these are called the 3 poisons in Buddhism. Maybe I am not meant for this. Maybe the scriptures are exaggerating. Maybe my guru is fake. So these are the 3 poisons which come. So that is the danger, and it kind of pulls you. In fact, it starts pulling people down when the despair sets in. Then anavasti tattva, which means inability to stay on higher ground, that is attained. The mind snaps back because of samskaras, old subconscious impressions. So means not, it's negative. Vastita means established. Vasati, situation. Anavasti means it is not staying situated, which means you snap back. It's like a rubber band. It just snaps back to old patterns of distraction. Anavasti tattva, the most famous thing about snapping back, is given in the Bhagavad Gītā in the 6th chapter. It is called the Yoga Brashta, one who has receded in the path of yoga. Okay, so this is for people, you are stuck in a certain point for a long time. What you are only seeing is, I'm making no progress, but actually you are accumulating these karmas. It's not visible easily, but you are accumulating. And Krishna, this to help Arjuna. So Arjuna's question was for, it's a very famous portion in the Bhagavad Gītā. Arjuna uvacha ayati shraddhayo petah yoga chalita manasah aprapya yoga samsiddhim kamgatim Krishna gacchati. For one who is not able to control oneself, though possessed of faith, and as a result the mind wanders away from yoga. So the person did a little yoga but then snaps back, and therefore is not able to attain perfection in yoga. What end does he attain Krishna? And Arjuna adds some flavor. Okay, he doesn't just stop here. And like Patanjali, he doesn't stop here. He says, having fallen both from worldly success and success in yoga, instead of meditating, I could be making money. This person perishes like a rent cloud, like a wind coming and scattering a cloud without any support, deluded in the path of Brahman, that is, in the path of higher consciousness. Then please dispel this doubt of mine. It's just, I'm burning with this doubt. Then Bhagavan says, not verily here, not in the next world is there destruction of that such a person. One who does yoga will never end up in a bad state. So it'll take time. Having attained the righteous worlds, having dwelt there for everlasting years, those who have fallen from yoga in a previous lifetime will take birth in the homes of pure and wealthy of knowledge. And there, such a birth is very difficult, number one. And there they will regain the knowledge from the previous births and strive more than before for perfection. By that formal practice, in spite of themselves, they are led on into the path of yoga. One who just wishes to know about yoga is better than ones who do blind rituals. So that is Bhagavan's pep talk to Arjuna. Okay, now so 9 obstacles. So we covered it in great detail. How do these obstacles manifest symptoms? So these are the obstacles to meditation. They have symptoms. And Patanjali uses the word saha bhuvaha. Saha means with, bhuvaha means birth. It's like brothers and sisters. He calls these symptoms the brothers and sisters of these 9 obstacles. And what are those 5 symptoms? Dukkha, which is pain, suffering, sorrow. Dhaurmanasya, depression, dejection. Angame jayatva, trembling of the limb. Jaya means, here it means trembling. Jaya means victory. Here, jaya, it means trembling. Angame jayatva means trembling of the limbs. Swasha prashvasha. Now, swasha prashvasha means, swasham means, shwasam means in breath, intake, in breath. Prashvasam means exhale, out breath. Why is he saying inhalation and exhalation are symptoms of these problems? Initially I thought angame jayatva, trembling of the limbs and trembling of the in-breath and out-breath. That's what I thought, because sometimes they would use the same prefix or the suffix for both words in order to avoid repetition. So I thought it's the troubled breathing. In fact, a lot of the books, they just say troubled breathing, which is okay, which is one way to look at. But what Vachaspati Mishra says is that when you meditate, how do you know that your meditation is going deeper? One of the symptoms, external symptoms, because you can't observe somebody's mind, is the breath will become slow. Eventually, that's why in deep jhana sometimes, or the deep states of meditation, I've talked to you about the jhanas, the 4 states of meditation that the Buddha talks about. Sometimes people stop breathing and then they get scared. Oh, I'm not breathing. And they just panic and come out of it. So the breath goes down. So if you're doing normal breath, that means the mind is agitated. This is the external symptom. Do you see how intricate it is? Because I also first thought troubled breathing. So your breathing will be troubled. So that's the indication that the mind is not settling. No, it is just even normal breathing means your mind is not settling. Your breath has to become slower and slower. Shwasa prashwasa, vikshepa. These distractions, vikshepa, are the distractions. Sahabhuvaha, they accompany these accompany the distractions. Vikshepa are the 9 distractions, and these are the brothers and sisters of the 9 distractions. Okay. Okay. So Daurmanasya is losing heart in the practice due to failures. And Angam, Ajayatva means Angam is the limbs or parts of the body. Ajaya means trembling. And this is a state of trembling of the parts of the body. Okay. So in meditation, there is breath. You don't control the breath. It comes naturally. Yes, Anjana, you had a question?
Yeah, I was wondering if they were talking about like
Kevala Kumbhaka?
when you're in deep meditation, then your breath suspends like the
Yeah, Kevala Kumbhaka. Yes. In fact, I didn't want to go much in detail, but the commentators say that breath becomes extremely slow and may even appear to stop Kevala Kumbhaka for periods of time. Where there's the most important
from
thing
that
is,
state, if it becomes
say that again, from that what?
shwasa prashwasa. Is that
I think
what
you
it is?
broke up a little bit. Can you repeat once more, please?
Yeah, no, I just meant that from that state of suspension of
Yeah.
breath, if it leads to shwasa prashwasa,
Yes.
that is the symptom.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So when the breath starts increasing, then it just means that the mind is also becoming more active. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Now we will go to Patanjali says, what's the solution to all this? See, here it's also a very intricate sutra. Tat pratishedhartam ekatatvabhyasah. There is a solution to dukkha daurmanasya angame jayatva swasha prashvasa vikshepa sahabhuvaha. So these the practice of concentrating the mind on a single principle should be cultivated to eliminate these obstacles, which comes with the 5 symptoms. Tat, that. Pratisheda artham means for the purpose. Artham means for the purpose of or objective. Pratishedam means counter. Prati means opposite. Pratishedam means counteract. To counteract or eliminate these obstacles, the 9 obstacles we saw, ekatattva abhyasaha. One has to practice. Abhyasa is practice. One has to practice concentrating the mind on a single principle, not many principles. Okay. Now, this on the surface, it sounds like a circular argument. Problem, I cannot concentrate because I have obstacles. Patanjali solution, concentrate to remove the obstacles. The key is ekatattva abhyasaha. What Patanjali is saying is practice on a single principle. This is called the anchor. Every time your mind runs away due to obstacles, bring it back to that one principle. Okay. Now, in the Bhagavad Gītā, there's a very, very, very famous shloka to illustrate that scattered energy of a mind is the problem. So you have to focus the energy of the mind. In fact, in the 41st shloka of the second chapter is a condensation of the Bhagavad Gītā. Bhagavan says, Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kuru nandana bahusha kakyanantascha bhuttayopyavasayinam. Oh, joy of the Kurus. He addresses Arjuna as joy of the Kurus. There is only one well-ascertained understanding in this field of yoga or liberation. The notions of those who lack discrimination is many branched and endless. Today they go after this practice. Tomorrow they go after that practice. Today they meditate on this. Tomorrow they'll meditate on something. The third day they will do some asanas. They think their mind will become go into samadhi. So they do many things and that doesn't work. It's like the classic example in Vedanta. If you want to dig a well, you don't know where there's water. You dig 10 feet. There's no water. Another place, you dig 10 feet. Oh, there's no water. But the water may be 15 feet below. So you have to first know where approximately the water is and then put all your effort to dig there. So like that, you have to know which principle suits you and use that, which appeals to you, and use that to and stay put for a length of time. Okay. Whatever be the object of contemplation, Ishvara or anything else, that should be taken as the sole principle. Now, Patanjali is going to talk about the different anchors. If you want, you can see this anchor. And finally, you know what Patanjali? He gives a trump card, joker card, which means use any means possible to still the mind. Yatapi matat dhyanatva. Eventually, Patanjali will say that. First one, emotional intelligence. This is a very, 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 very famous sutra. With this, I will stop. Maitri karuna mudito pekshanam sukha dukkha punya punya vishayanam bhavanatas chitta prasadanam. One attains undisturbed calmness of the mind by cultivating emotional intelligence. Why does Patanjali say that? Because people are our greatest triggers in our lives. Patanjali addresses the topic of how to deal with various types of people, and this is also elaborated greatly in the Buddhist texts. Has anybody heard about the term metta meditation? In Buddhist, M-E-T-A, not M-E-T-T-A, metta. Yeah, metta meditation. Anybody has heard the term? Mimi, you have?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
That
Loving
metta,
kindness.
yes, it comes metta. It comes from Pali. I mean, then eventually to English it became metta. It is from Maitri. It is friendliness, or they call it loving kindness meditation. It's just friendliness. Who are you friendly towards? You are friendly, Maitri, towards Sukha, people who are happy. You're so cultivating friendliness towards the happy ones, or you revel in their happiness. Then Karuna, compassion towards whom? So these 4 words are the 4 states you need to cultivate. And these next 4 are the types of people who exhibit certain patterns. Friendliness, Maitri, towards the Sukha, happy. Compassion or Karuna, towards the suffering, that is the Dukkha, people who are sad, suffering. Mudita, this is also a word used, mudita in Buddhism, delight towards the virtuous, punya, and upeksha, indifference towards the unvirtuous, apunya. So, attitude, which is the attitude you should have towards the people who are displaying these 4 qualities. And the attitudes are Maitri, friendliness, Karuna, compassion, Mudita, gladness, joy, Upeksha, indifference, neutrality, equanimity is another word that is used in Buddhism, towards Sukha, people who are happy, Dukkha, people who are suffering, Punya, people who are virtuous, Apunya, people who are not virtuous. Okay. All right. Yes, indifference towards, if somebody is wicked, so this is, again, it needs more explanation. Indifference towards a wicked means you don't become angry towards them. You, in a neutral way, you deal with such people. That's why Gandhi did this non-violence protest. So you do your thing. You're not yelling or shouting, or because that can worsen the situation, and it can also affect your own equanimity. So act with a sense of equanimity. That way, your actions will be more powerful, is what it's saying.
This is interesting because it's like the divine abodes in Buddhism, the Brahma Viharas.
Yes, yes.
It's the same. It's like the same.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of Buddha's teachers was a Sankhya teacher. Another was a yoga teacher. So you will see so many similarities. Upekha, they call it. In Buddhism, it's called upekha. It is upeksha. In Pali is like a lazy man's Sanskrit. So all the ksha and all this becomes ka. Okay. So indifference doesn't mean you just ignore. You just don't get stirred in that, and you act in a very neutral way. So if somebody is doing criminal things, you protest. in a matter of fact, neutral fashion. That is what is meant by your equanimity is not stirred. Okay, so I think I will stop here. I thought I could do more, but we went a little deeper.